Hello, welcome back. So the development of the law. This is the second part to the introduction to AS law. So these are just small points that you need to know. It's not a big topic, but laws have developed over time. So you can start off by kind of mentioning customs. So early common laws came through customs. So these are things that people just did. It was customary to do things. I mean, we have certain customs today. For example, general elections take place on a Thursday. That's not written down in law anywhere, but by custom, it has been followed over the years. So customs, early common laws came from custom, and there was an informal punishment if they were broken. You've then got what we call common law. They developed from customs. This is judge-made law. So, for example, murder is a common law offence. There is no Act of Parliament that says it is illegal to kill somebody. It is all derived from judges. They have said it is illegal and they can make law as well as Parliament. So when Parliament make law, you have got something called statutes. So these are Acts of Parliament and they are made by the House of Commons and then the House of Lords. And we will be looking at, as one of the topics, Acts of Parliament. So that will be a good topic for you to go ahead and have a look at. So Parliament is the supreme lawmaking body. We elect the House of Commons. We don't elect the House of Lords. We're quite unusual in this country and we don't elect them, but they also make laws. Now, something, again, that you will look at more in your second year is something called the rule of law. Now, the concept of the rule of law is that nobody is above the law. So all people have to follow laws, even the government. Everybody is accountable to the law. It has to be fairly applied and it has to be fairly enforced. Law must also be clear, and human rights law is very, very important when we look at the rule of law because it sets out things such as the right to a fair trial. You've also got to think that, why do we have the rule of law? Why is it so important? Well, it ensures that justice is achieved. Law can't be retrospective, so you can't go back. You can't make a law today that punishes what people did yesterday, so it has to be forward-looking. But the idea of the freedom of expression, the right to vote, all these things come into the concept of the rule of law. So fairness, applying to everybody. Nobody is above the law. Now, what students find quite difficult is when academics talk about the rule of law. You've got three main academics. You may have more, there may be more in the textbook, but I've tried to simplify it for what you need. So Dicey, in the 19th century, said there were three elements to the rule of law. So he said the state must not have total power. There must be equality before the law, so everyone is equal, including the government. And he said that Parliament is supreme, so supremacy of the law. So Dicey, D-I-C-E-Y, 19th century, three elements. One, the state mustn't have total power. Two, equality before the law, including the government. And three, supremacy of the law, which is Parliament. You then have Raz, and Raz says there must be clear rules and procedures for making laws. Judges must be independent. There must be open and fair hearings. And you can go and watch a Crown Court case and a Magistrates Court case. So there are open, fair hearings. And courts should be easily accessible. Now, throughout the year, you might discover that it's not that accessible if you don't have a lot of money. Lord Bingham actually wrote a book called The Rule of Law, so it's something for you to put on your university reading list if you want to study law. Bingham said law should be accessible and it should apply equally to all. So all three kind of say the same thing but focus on different things or emphasise different things. So law should be accessible and apply equally to all. Human rights should be protected, which is very important. So, the right to a fair trial, the right to privacy or the right to a private life, the right to life in itself. Bingham also said you have the right to a fair trial, so he emphasised that. and the right to dispute resolution. So if there is a problem, you have a right to resolve that resolution. And Bingham said as well that you should comply with international law. So governments must not breach international law. Now, the final thing to look at is, why is the rule of law important? Well, it ensures that justice is done. We spoke about earlier that justice is important. So justice, remember, is fairness. It is a value judgment. So you may think justice has been achieved, and I won't think it's been achieved. So rule of law is important because, one, it ensures that justice is done. Two, it protects us as citizens from abuses of power by the government. Again, really important. Three, you're only punished for breaking the law and nothing else. So you're not punished for breaking morals, or you're not formally punished. The fourth point that's important is judges can scrutinise and keep a check on Parliament. We need another body checking up on Parliament. Citizens as well, you can bring court cases against the government. Gina Miller, very interestingly, brought a case when the government tried to go ahead with Brexit without a vote in Parliament. So when they wanted to trigger Article 50, they were going to go ahead with it. And Gina Miller was like, no, you can't do that. You have to pass an Act of Parliament. And she won. So she brought a case against the government and she won. And also the rule of law is important because it ensures that society is developed and equal, and that it's prosperous, and that it's forward thinking. Okay, so that is a little bit on the rule of law. So all these things, it is an introduction to AS law, and paper 1 are where these topics will potentially feature. Okay, so watch for the next video.